Welcome back to the Film Cynics on C-FAX 1070. Steve and Brian sitting in on a Sunday afternoon talking about movies, television, and pop culture. We're really deep into the pop culture element right now. We're talking about comic books being adapted for the screen, and we've got Gareth Gaudin from Legends Comics in talking about it with us. Right now we're plowing our way through the top 5 comic book writers that I feel should inaugurate an Oscar for best comic book writing for the screen. And we've been through John Wagner, Mike Mignola, and Frank Miller, and now we get to some of the heavy hitters, namely Alan Moore at number 2.
Alan Moore at number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, Alan Moore. He's certainly written his share of Hollywood blockbusters and failures, and he had nothing to do with any of these movies.
Well, that's the thing. He's at the genesis of like he writes these great ideas and comes up with these really anti-establishment stories, and does a great job of it, I feel, and then really divorces himself from the work completely.
Yeah, I think he's there's movies like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that such a great book. He wrote it, he's done with it, and they want to make a movie, and he always says, "Okay, yeah, do it. I want nothing to do with it." So they put his name on it, and it's a bomb, and he somehow gets blamed for it. So he's since asked for his name not to be on the movies. They do what you want to do. You can make these movies, but I don't want any part of it. And so they give him. Apparently, he got $20 million for V for Vendetta, and he just signed the check over to the writer, David Lloyd. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. Here you go.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of artistic integrity doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, he is artistic integrity. And
it's strange.
It makes sense. Somebody's got to be there. Somebody's got to be at that extreme, and he seems to do it very well.
But then he comes on The Simpsons, and he'll do his own voice as a character on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But he's playing his curmudgeonly self.
But he loves The Simpsons. He loves good things.
No, I think it's just great that he can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
That he'll be that guy, that he won't just hide away somewhere and never basically give his fans anything new.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I would hate him if he was blocking the production of any of his works, because, I mean, why, if he was keeping these things from coming to be. So I can't hate him because even though he wants nothing to do with the things that he's doing, so he's got this loathing for the Hollywood system and the production of his comics into movies, he's still coming up with these ideas and allowing them to take flight, which is nice.
And I think he's stated that he's written, his job is to write these books. He does the books. Somebody else's job to make the movies. He's already he's reached the pinnacle of his of comics.
Right.
He doesn't need to go dominate Hollywood.
So as far as some of his best known works that have been adapted, so the movie League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was not that well received, but has its moments. From Hell, which I really, really enjoyed, the Hughes brothers movie about Jack the Ripper, V for Vendetta, and of course Watchmen, which in my opinion is probably the greatest movie about comic book culture ever made.
Yeah, well done. I'd agree. Other than Mallrats.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I mean, as far as just looking at the world and how the world of comic books works, I'd say it's top dog.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move right on because we're running low on time. Stan Lee at number 1. I couldn't even list everything that he's done. Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men, Iron Man, Captain America, Daredevil, and the Incredible Hulk have all been made into movies, and they still will be putting out more creations of his into movies. Stan Lee, progenitor of Marvel Comics, the genius behind so many titles.
Yeah, he really knew how to sell himself and his product. He was the front man of Marvel Comics throughout all the 60s. Still is, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, he knows how to sell himself.
It's weird that he can still be like chairman emeritus of Marvel Comics, but be suing them repeatedly.
Yeah.
For rights infringements and such.
Well, unlike all the artists he worked with, like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, he seems to know how to make money and know how to get paid for what he created. Or co-created, or didn't create at all, but put his name on.
Yeah, I mean, I've read his biography, Excelsior, and he really sort of seems very self-deprecating about the whole thing, and he sort of looks at his fame and fortune as an accident.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was a lot of calculations going on there.
And teaming up with Jack Kirby, the greatest creative force in the 20th century.
But Jack Kirby, he's not even alive anymore.
No.
But he was really upset about all the things that were going on. He really felt he was slighted.
He believed he created the Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, Thor, the Avengers, all these characters. And then Stan Lee took his art and stories and just put the words in. So there's been a rivalry and an argument about who created what. Did Stan Lee come up with the idea of Spider-Man and give it to Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko?
Well, that's the way Stan Lee says it happened.
Exactly. Jack Kirby says, well, I created Spider-Man and I gave it to Stan to write. So who gets the credit? Stan Lee obviously wins out because he's the biggest name in comics right now. He was just in Seattle. He's might be there right now at the big comic convention. People have been coming up the street all day with their Stan Lee autographs that they cost him $65.
Does he still write?
Well, he wrote Spider-Man 600 that came out earlier, I guess, last spring. So he's got his hands in comics.
All right.
I mean, the guy's never going to win an Oscar for all of his cameo appearances in all the Marvel Comics movies that he's in. But I think he deserves something for just.
He does.
This
He'll get. I don't know. Did he win a Scream Lifetime Achievement Award yet? If not, he will.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I've won a Scream Lifetime Achievement Award.
That
Yeah,
was a fun night.
it's good times.
Yeah.
Going to show somebody the video of all that. All right, well, that brings us to the top of our list. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about our picks from the vault. Stay with us.